Thanks very much, Noah. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our Explainer webinar and Q&A for Startup Next Steps, which is the Techscaler education course for startups at growth stage who are looking to scale. Beautiful. Alrighty, kicking off our agenda, we'll start with a brief introduction to Techscaler. Many of you might already be familiar with Techscaler or may even be members yourselves. And for those of you who are new to discovering Techscaler, welcome. It is very nice to have you. So throughout the session, we are going to be diving into the details of our Startup Next Steps course, including eligibility, objectives for founders who are participating. Then we'll be jumping into the week-by-week curriculum topics and what to expect in terms of formats and key dates from the program. We'll also cover what the application process for both Techscaler and enrolling in Startup Next Steps looks like. And then we'll finish with plenty of time to answer any questions that you might have. As I take us through the agenda, there will be a lot of me talking initially before we start the Q&A. So if you do have any questions that come to mind while I'm speaking, please just pop them into the Q&A function and we'll keep an eye on them throughout the session and make sure we get to them in the end. Alrighty, so who do we have here today? This is the team that is joining us today. So my name is Mariah and I'm one of the program managers for Startup Next Steps, which is currently in its third cohort of the course, for which applications are currently open. So we're joined by Shona, who is our VP of Startup Programs here at Codebase. And Shona will be sharing a little bit with us about her background in startups and what experiences have helped shape the design and curriculum of this course. And then I will be throwing to Shona to help answer any of your questions in the Q&A section. Also with us today, we have our program coordinator, Noah, who's managing the tech today, talking to you in the chat and is facilitating everything behind the scenes. So to start with a bit of context on Techscaler and introduce you to Startup Next Steps. So for those of you who don't know, Techscaler is a Scottish government-funded program which is delivered by Codebase. And its purpose is essentially to increase the number of successful tech startups that we have across Scotland. So we do this by connecting you with experts, sharing world-class playbooks and education courses, and providing physical hubs across the country where founders can come together, connect, learn, and overall be a part of building a more robust, connected ecosystem in Scotland. The three main pillars of Techscaler are place, community, and education and mentorship. And while we have physical hubs in 7 regions in Scotland, we also have an online community. So no matter where you are in the country, you can access our offerings and stay connected as well. Crucially, and very important to you, I'm sure, this is being funded by Scottish Government. And as founders and tech folks yourselves, this is all free for you to participate in. So one of our offerings in Techscaler, and the course that we're discussing today, is Startup Next Steps. And this is a mid-stage program designed for founders and senior team members who are preparing their products for scaling. To take part, participants should already have a product in the market with some active users, and we'll go into eligibility in a bit more detail shortly. The course itself consists of 10 core sessions over 12 weeks. Most of these are held online with a couple of in-person events that will be streamed for anyone who isn't able to attend in person. Startup Next Steps is just one of the benefits of being a Techscaler member. So you'll need to sign up to Techscaler first before applying to enroll, which is easy to do, and we'll share details on how you can do that very shortly. So what do we mean by tech startup? So when we're referring to tech startups, we mean businesses with a software product at the core of their business. The product should not be bespoke to specific clients, and it should be scalable. Techscaler is also sector agnostic, so no matter the industry that you're in, you are very welcome to join our activities. Okay, so the next slide should give you a bit of a sense of where Startup Next Steps fits within the broader Techscaler education program offering. So we enter with a pre-startup course that is self-paced and accessible through our online community platform, and this is available to everybody. This is very much aimed at those who are interested in startups or want to brush up on very basic frameworks, and just to get folk reflecting on ideas that they might be curious to explore. Our next stage is Startup First Steps, which is currently running right now, and this is for startups at ideation stage through to testing out an MVP. I myself am currently going through the Startup First Steps program to explore building my own startup MVP. And if you leave today's webinar thinking maybe you're not quite at the right stage to get the most out of next steps right now, The next cohort of Startup First Steps is actually in April, so you'd also be very welcome to apply to Techscaler and apply to join that cohort as well. Next up, we have Startup Next Steps. And as we touched on, this is for businesses preparing to scale with an existing product in market with active customers. So these are two very important criteria to ensure that you get the most out of this curriculum content. If you have any individual questions about maybe nuance around this or want to ask about your particular circumstance, please do get in touch and we'll share the contact details of that email address shortly. And we'll be very happy to discuss individual circumstances, whether this is a course that could still benefit you at the stage that you're at. Lastly, we have a stage which is an offering for scale-ups, where we have an advanced training program with partnership Reforge, which is a Silicon Valley-based company that offers scale-up education and training for founders in Scotland, which again is also still fully funded. And I'll just point out as well that while our programs are designed to follow a certain path, they are not fully linear and don't feed into each other directly. So you can jump in wherever makes sense for you and revisit programs as needed. You are likely to get the most value by participating in a course and then going away for a time to apply the lessons to your business before jumping into the next stage program. We also generally have several live cohorts of these each year. Although as we make some iterative improvements to Startup Next Steps, it is worth noting that this cohort, the one that we're currently recruiting for, is the only program for this stage of business that is currently planned for 2025. So if you've been thinking of joining or were on the fence, it is something to consider about your plans for the next year and if this might be worth getting involved in now. If you do decide that this isn't a path that you're keen to go down just yet, or it's not right for you, Techscaler membership also gives you access to mentoring, community activity, and events as well. So there are plenty of other opportunities to develop and benefit from the Techscaler offering and wider code-based ecosystem than just Startup Next Steps if you feel this isn't the right time. Alrighty, on to eligibility. So as I mentioned, this course is designed for founders and senior team members. And we do encourage team participation where possible as well. We're not super prescriptive about which senior roles are eligible, but we do want to make sure that the people participating are in decision-making roles and can influence the direction of the business so that learnings taken away from the course can be implemented effectively. You need to have a software product that's already in the market and is accessible to users, which means that if you're still building your MVP or you're in closed testing, you're potentially a bit too early for this course. You'll also need to have some active users. They don't necessarily need to be paying customers, but not family and friends giving feedback and not being in a testing phase. So if you're looking for some signs that this course might be a good fit for you, these could include building your own team. Maybe you've recently raised under $1 million in investment, or you're planning to raise a light seed or Series A round soon. You might also be revenue generating, but not yet profitable. And maybe you're exploring adjacent market opportunities or secondary product lines as well. If you're still developing a product that replicates a manual process or in beta or closed testing, you're possibly a little bit early, and this might not be the right time for you to join Startup Next Steps. But we do have other Techscaler offerings that can support you at every stage of the startup journey. So just get in touch if you have any queries. So what are our objectives? What do we want you to leave the course with? So for the founders and team members participating in this course, the overall objective is essentially to help you prepare your startup to scale. We'll help you explore strategies for expanding your market share and moving from tactical business progress to strategic growth, thinking about working on your business, not just in your business, and being more measured and planned rather than reactive. We'll also help you develop an understanding of what product market fit looks like for your startup, as this can also very much vary business to business. And last but not least, we'll aim to connect you with other startups in Scotland who are at a similar stage, as we're very big advocates for peer learning and collaboration, helping push businesses forward. So at this point, I will pause and I will hand over to Shona, who will share a bit about her experience and how that has influenced the design of this course. Over to you, Shona.
Thanks, Mariah. And Hi everyone. It's great to see some familiar names on here who I know are on Startup First Steps at the moment or have done it in the recent past. So really great to see that you're making progress and able to or to consider joining Startup Next Steps as well. We'll go into a bit more detail in the curriculum and the specifics around the sessions that this course includes. But at this point, I just wanted to introduce myself. So I look after the team that run our startup programs at Codebase. This can be anything from I've got an idea all the way through to I want to raise 15 million or more and grow internationally. So we try and cover all the support that's needed for you to start, grow and scale your business and maintain a base in Scotland. My background is in the travel tech industry. So in I have to remember the dates now, 2015, sorry, I was the first employee in the founding team at a travel tech company that was like Airbnb, but for people with disabilities. It wasn't a big startup scene at that point. There was like the Google campus, Google Garage in London. There was a little bit of a network in London, but it wasn't a very well established sector in the UK, and people didn't really understand what I was doing. Why would you quit your job to go and do that? We grew that business through grant funding and then angel funding over the next couple of years. And as we were out raising for our Series A or like a large seed round, which would have helped us hit this piece, like we had early sort of customers at this point, but we really needed to scale our approach to growth, both in terms of our suppliers and our customers. And we were raising money ideally in the US. We actually received an acquisition offer from Airbnb and sold the company to them. So this is the stage that we really needed help with and we never quite got to tackle. And so what we've designed this program to look like is something that would help you if you're at this stage. So you've built something, you've launched something, people like what you're doing, you're getting some early traction, you're making evolutionary changes to your product, but you need to work out how to do that better, more efficiently, more effectively, and connect with other people who are doing it too, so you can learn from each other. So that's where this program has sort of evolved from, is helping startups on that journey. And it has evolved over the last couple of years that we've been running it. We started running this at the start of last year, and each time we make changes to it based on feedback we get from participants, based on knowing what the sector is currently doing, knowing what technology currently means for investment and other things in the industry. So it really does evolve with technology and with what's happening in the market. As Mariah said, it really is most valuable when you have at least one, ideally more, active customers or active users of your product. So those in closed or beta stage really not as applicable, and there'll probably be something that comes up soon that would be better for you. But if you haven't quite got there yet, you've got like 4 weeks until applications close. So get hustling for that first customer, and then you'll be able to join the program and actually make effective use of it. It's really because these are practical courses that you need to have that customer to be able to work with them or to work with the customers that you've got to be able to put some of this stuff into practice. So that's why we encourage that. We go through more of the curriculum and the sort of plan for the course in the next few slides. And as Nawal said in the chat, there's a Q&A function on here. So please do pop your questions into there. And as Mariah and I come to the Q&A at the end of the presentation, we'll answer all of those questions live for you. Or if we can't answer them, then we can pick them up afterwards as well. So please do pop any questions into the chat. And hopefully we actually answer some of them as we go through. Yeah, so that's a bit of me. I'll hand back to Mariah for the next part of the sort of objectives and session plan.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Shona. Alrighty, let's jump into a bit of a curriculum breakdown. So one thing that we do say as well is not every single thing in the course will be explicitly relevant to you, rather that we aim for about 70% of the content having key crucial insights that you can take away, and making sure that we're hitting the core kind of generalist problem areas that are most likely to be relevant to you. And before I dive into explicit weeks and themes, in terms of the flow of the program, you'll notice that the week segments are broken up into 3 blocks with a couple of non-teaching weeks in the middle, which I'll touch on later. So the first block focuses on fundamentals, you being prepared as a leader, helping you prepare for future growth challenges, and making sure that you know your product as you get ready for market share changes. The second block is not just looking at pain points, but opportunities. It's all about growth, focusing on customer acquisition, sales cycles, team building, and product expansion. And in the final block, we look at practical steps for implementing what you've learned and reflecting on how you can take the lessons that you've learned in these sessions and apply them to your business's next steps. Then in terms of specific week themes, we start with week 1, which is dedicated to growth and leadership mindset, where we help you challenge assumptions about your business and prepare you for bringing your team along the journey as well. We're thinking more than just leadership of the team, but also thought leadership, how your startup can be positioned as leaders, and how you want to measure that leadership going forward. Week 2, we explore business strategy, helping you review your product market strategy with playbooks and best practice frameworks, and also giving you actionable next steps for moving your business forward as you grow. Week 3, we dive into focusing on product fundamentals and growth, covering key aspects like product strategy, roadmaps, planning for growth, and thinking about what factors your product under pressure, or put your product under pressure as you grow. Then we jump into the second block, which explores sales and marketing in week 4, where we'll help you find clarity and refine your value proposition for your startup and exploring acquisition channels, and helping you think about designing experiments to test for the best opportunities for your business. Week 5, we look at tech sales, so focusing on how to increase revenue through implementing an effective business sales process. So thinking about more effective selling techniques and helping you identify and understand key buying signals. Week 6, we focus on growth mechanisms, so helping you review how you grow customers efficiently and transition to long-term activation and retention of those customers. Then into the final block, funding and money, in week 7. So here we focus on financial management when we review runway planning, cash flow forecasting, and shifting revenue streams. In this session, we're also hosting a panel with industry experts, which is, getting into the nitty-gritty, talking to founders so you can learn from their experiences and hopefully avoid potential pitfalls that many, many before you have made. Week 8, we look at team building, not just revisiting the basics of, say, employee responsibilities, but really emphasizing how to upskill team members, the importance of steering intentional company culture, and how to align your people plan with your business and product growth plan as well. In week 9, pivots, failures, and exits. So the goal here is to help you envision what success looks like for you and your business specifically. So understanding that can take many different forms. We'll also learn from people who, again, have gone through pivots or exits themselves, and we look at taking some time to plan out your next steps and what this might look like for you. And the final week is a bit of a celebration week, where we bring together participants, ecosystem partners, investors, and other startups for a bit of a showcase. So the content on that day will include new Q&A panels with investors and funders from different funding streams. So it won't all be VC. We look at grants and more diverse funding avenues to consider as well. We'll also be hearing from founders who might be just a few steps ahead of you and hopefully help inspire you to take away some learnings from the course and implement them into your business. Okay, so as a bit of a taster into some of the speakers to come, here's a selection of those that we've already booked into the cohort. So in delivering the sessions, we do bring people in who are experts, who have been in your shoes, and work with companies of all sizes that we've got lined up for you. So first up, we have Rosie, who is a product growth expert and has worked with companies like What3Words and Peanut App, and she's taking the charge on our growth week. Sophie is a finance expert who works with Charlie HR and runs events with finance for founders. And then third up, we have Amy, who is a leadership coach and worked with Slack for over 8 years and helped set up the Slack directory. So there's lots of knowledge there and just a small sample of who we've got coming along to speak. Moving into formats and dates. And yeah, when this is on the screen, don't worry about writing all of this down, as it's also on the Next Steps landing page for you to look over whenever you'd like as well. So with the exception of hybrid weeks in week 1 and 10, the core sessions take place online via Zoom, and those are on Wednesday mornings from January 22nd to April 9th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So we know that you are working on your businesses, working other jobs, managing lives outside of this. So the sessions are predominantly remote to help manage those time commitments, with opportunities to meet in person and online throughout the course as well. So throughout those core sessions, there'll be a mix of presentations, workshops, panels, and again, plenty of opportunities to connect with fellow participants, meet founders on similar journeys to yourselves. Outside of those core sessions, we also offer one-to-one sessions with speakers and experts, and there will be online events and in-person events as well. And then if we come back to our scheduled break weeks, these are adaptable opportunities for us to curate based on the specific makeup, nuance, and requirements of the founders on those cohorts. So if we have a number of people who are wanting pitching coaching or IP consultations, things like that, we can curate those weeks and hold activities that are responsive to what might most benefit you based on your input and your feedback. You'll also have access to our opportunity platform, our community platform, where you can engage with other participants as well, sharing ideas, continue discussions after the sessions. This is largely where we share all of the course information as well, resources, curriculum, speaker information, and is something of a contents library that should facilitate you throughout the course. Again, while we are appreciating that you are busy getting the actual work done, as well as wanting to learn in parallel, in terms of time commitment, we do ask for about 3 hours per week for the course sessions. To complete the course, you'd need to attend at least 6 of the 10 sessions. And if you do miss a session, recordings are available to watch back, which is still included in that 60% threshold as well. But we do try to encourage full participation so you can get the most out of the course. So yeah, just making sure that you do have the time to dedicate to those sessions, as well as some thinking time afterwards to apply any learnings. Okay, then we have dates. So next up, we have the important dates of core sessions and non-teaching weeks. So other key dates here are the application deadlines. So if you're not a Techscaler member already, you have until the 16th of December at midday to apply for Techscaler membership, and then until the 18th of December to enroll for Startup Next Steps. We'll be reviewing applications and hoping to get back to people optimistically from the 20th of December. On the 15th of January, we'll be having a welcome session, which is basically just a short online session to help onboard you with anything logistical and make sure that you are set up on the online community, have everything you need to feel prepared and get started. Alrighty, how do you apply and what is involved? So to anyone who is not currently a Techscaler member, this QR code, and now I can pop it into the chat for you as well if it's not there already, will take you to the Techscaler application via the Next Steps landing page, just so we have an idea of what it is that you're interested in. You'll be asked some questions which help us basically just understand how we can help you and tailor the Techscaler experience to make sure that you and your startup are getting the most out of the program. Then enrolling in Startup Next Steps. So once you become a member, or if you already are, to apply for Startup Next Steps, we have a very short process to determine that you're at the right place. And that allows us to just have a bit more information on you so we can also brief speakers and build in specific bits of content into the sessions that really allow us to tailor them to who we have in the group and where you're at right now. So once you've been invited to submit, all we need really is your marketing website so we can see how customers access your product, and a 90-second video just explaining your product. So what is the problem that it solves, who it's for, why it's needed, and an overview of your current traction with customers. I know for some people, a video submission might seem intense or uncomfortable. And I will just mention these videos are not polished. It can be as simple as a phone recording or, a screen share, Loom walkthrough. We're not focused on production quality here. It is just on your ability to communicate your idea clearly and to be able to talk about the things that you are already an expert in your business. For anyone finding that a barrier, please also feel free to get in touch. And I'm very happy to jump on a call with you and just screen record as you talk about your product, speaking to this criteria. So yeah, please do get involved. If you're not entirely sure that you meet that criteria, or you have any specific questions, again, about like the nuance of your product, customers, where you're at right now, you can reach out, as I mentioned, but honestly, my suggestion would probably be just to send through an application in that demo style video. And it really shows our review panel what that process looks like and helps us get an understanding of where you're at and how you might plug into the curriculum. So that's a really helpful way for us to help make that determination. That's also quite straightforward and not too time intensive. Okay, finally from me, you can read a few of the testimonials from some of our previous participants who have joined the cohort of Next Steps. The founders that we meet through the program really do become a part of the ecosystem that we're building here, and often become mentors themselves or speakers on Startup First Steps, which is the preceding education course, as well as panel participants sharing their journey. So you might just be back for the following cohort. And yeah, we'd love to welcome you into that. So that's me wrapping up. What we will do now is jump into the Q&A section, where Shona is going to help me answer any of the questions you might have around Startup Next Steps. So I will throw to you, Shona, and hopefully we've got some good questions coming through the Q&A function.
Thank you. Yeah, there's quite a lot coming in, so keep them coming. If you can pop them in the Q&A box in particular rather than in the chat, helps us to keep track of them, but I can see the chat, so I'm going to try and manage both at the same time. A very quick one, a couple of people have said the link isn't letting me join as I'm already a member. Am I doing this wrong? The link that you see on the Startup Next Steps live page that's public is a link to apply for Techscaler membership. If you're a Techscaler member already and you're eligible for Startup Next Steps, you will have been sent an enrollment/application form back a month ago when applications opened. If you can't find that in your inbox anywhere because it may have gone to your junk or it just hasn't come through right, please can you drop an email to membership@techscaler.co.uk and request it. I will pop that in the chat at techscaler.co.uk and request an enrollment form, and that's just what you need to do that. So thank you for everyone who's highlighted that. Where do we go next? Daria, is this or any other Techscaler program suitable for businesses who do not have an exit strategy in place and have no intention to sell the business at any point in time? Yes, all of the programs that we run are suitable for businesses that don't have an exit plan and don't have a strategy for that. We also, exits sometimes are accidental. We didn't plan to exit either that early or at all, maybe. When we were running the business, sometimes things happen that make that an option for you and make that the best next step. We do run a session on pivots, failures and exits, which is an extended panel in week 9. The reason we do that is because exits are things that don't get publicized very often, and failures before the exit also don't get publicized very often. Often you see the sort of TechCrunch article that's like these big exits for people, but we don't hear a lot about the things that went wrong for people or the companies that didn't manage to get through to that. So yes, it's completely eligible for people who aren't planning an exit. But what's great about that session is the founders are multi-founders in that session as well, because they've usually gone exit and then on to something else. So it's good to hear behind the curtains and hear from them. And that's exactly what we try to bring you from each of the speakers that we have in each session. So yes, completely suitable for you. Oh, I've got loads of great questions coming in. So there's been a couple of questions actually in various places about school holidays and the teaching weeks and non-teaching weeks, matching them, or whether people sometimes have availability but don't on some weeks. We did try to squeeze around school holidays, but because Easter itself is so late this year, school holidays have been a bit varied across different regions. So actually we know that some people will struggle with either childcare or caring responsibilities in some of those weeks. The sessions are all streamed online and recorded, so you can access them afterwards, as well as trying to join sections of them if you have some space in your day to join them. So we do realise that might cause some problems for some people if your school holidays are across the program, but it was hard to be able to get dates that would work for absolutely every district and every school. So we apologise for that. Mariah, I can see you typing an answer to someone's question, which is great. So I'll leave you to do that and try and answer another one. So a couple of questions that sort of link. So Jose, if my beta product goes live when the program starts and get my first customers those months, can I still apply? Would probably recommend not, because the first couple of months are really about growing your customer base and learning from your existing customers, because we can only grow a product to meet our customer needs if we have some already. So probably not, but if you can speed up that process, then it's worth popping an application in if you manage to do that. It may be that you're still suitable, but really the program only really applies to those that have active customers and have a live product. There will be more that comes up after January that will be suitable for you. So don't think that this is your only chance to get support. And actually, it might be that the startup first steps that will open for applications, or the next program that we do that opens for applications probably in March time, February, March time, will be more suitable for the stage you're at. So worth considering that. It's worth popping an application in maybe the day before they close, just to see if it's suitable for you as well. And the same, I'm not going to be able to pronounce your name very well, Gayatri. What does traction look like? Does signups on platform count? So if the signups are to use your product, then yes. If the signups are just to find out when your product launches, then no. So it needs to be people who are actively using your product. As sort of answered for Jose's question. Let me know if that's not the case for you. If you've got signups to actually use the product or even test the product and they're sort of live using them, then it's worth, again, popping an application in. Oh yeah, and I've answered that one as well, answering so many. So if not eligible for this, when do the applications for the next program open? Probably be February, March time. So look out for the news around that. And if you're not already a Techscaler member and aren't eligible for next steps, get your application in, because what you'll do is get a session with one of the team to talk through what you're working on, and then they'll be able to match you to the immediate support available. If you've got a product already live, then that may be one-to-one mentorship. If not, then there may be events that are suitable for you to come to, like founder mixers, come and meet some of the team, office hours with lawyers or finance experts or investors or other people to help you sort of progress with your business. So join Techscaler and there'll be support available for you as well. Do you have to have an actual product, or even if an MVP that is about to be built? So an MVP is fine if it's something that someone can use, even if it's like a clickable prototype, or you're doing smokescreen experimentation behind the scenes, which is where you service the query manually for someone, but it looks like it's a product. But again, it still has to be an active product. So MVP is fine so long as it's actually testing, so long as it's actually solving the problem you're trying to solve. Because we know that products evolve, they iterate. You start with something more simple, and then you move on to mature that product. So as I've said previously, it does have to be something that people are actively using to try and solve the problem they're trying to solve, and that you're not just testing it with them. So I think that hopefully covers it. Please drop any more questions in the Q&A if you feel I haven't answered in full. But I think we sort of covered most things. And how many people will be in this intake? It varies depending on how many people are eligible at the time. Last time we had about 25 people week to week really committed. We ask that you do really commit to this, because that creates value not only for your own product, but for the cohort itself. The more people who are more regular, the more community you build amongst each other, and the more you show up and contribute, the better the sessions are. So we had about 25 last time, which was a really nice group size. We can take up to 40 in this cohort. So it's still relatively small compared to some other programs, but larger than others you might have seen. So it's right in the middle there, I think, for this type of program. Any other questions I've missed, Mariah, that you've spotted?
No, even scraping through the chat, I think we've addressed everything. If anyone does have any last minute questions or anything else that comes to mind, please feel free to just drop them through the email link that Shona added into the chat. But thank you very much for that, Shona. Alrighty, so that is all the key information that we have for now. Thank you very much for coming along today, everybody, and for all your attention and for all your really wonderful questions. If you have a second, we have a wee survey, and we'd love you to be able to fill in just a couple of questions on how we did today, and those really help improve our sessions and allow us to iterate on feedback as well. So thank you again. Have a great day, and I look forward to all your applications flying in and meeting you in January. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks everyone for joining.